Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the first episode of the Bad Gamepad Podcast show thing. Haven't really decided what to call it. I might just call it the podcast show thing. It's not exactly a full-on podcast, I don't think. I've never really done a podcast before, but it's basically me talking. The format's going to be me talking along with guests talking about gaming-related stuff and just fun shenanigans every now and again, but mostly gaming-related, Nintendo-related news and topics and all that sort of good stuff. I'm very excited about this. This is episode 0. This is an experiment episode. I recorded one earlier, but I felt like as good as it was very ranty. It wasn't very fun. It wasn't very uplifting or encouraging. It was just me ranting about some things. And I'll rant from time to time, but I want to try to have this be fun. So, start out with the first topic I wanted to talk about. And this is fairly old. This was in July of this year, 2022. Nintendo fan buys $40,000 in stock to ask president about F-Zero revival. And he basically got told, we're considering it. The dedication of this, and I'm going to go out and call them a hero for doing this. This franchise has been in limbo since GP Legends released on the Game Boy, and I'm trying to remember when exactly that was. Let me look it up real quickly here, because it was a long time ago now. There were other games besides Legends, but that Legends, I think, was the last one to see a worldwide release, or an outside of Japan release. 2004. And it is now 2022. It has been since 2004 since we've seen an F-Zero game. And there is a huge fan base and a huge contingent of fans that really want to see this franchise succeed and see this franchise come back. There's so many things that they can do with it right now on the Switch and with online. I'd love to see a system where you could build your own F-Zero racers, build your own tracks. They were starting to do that, I think, with F-Zero GX a little bit. And the arcade game that also tied in with it, or was using the same engine. I don't know quite how it worked, but this guy was a hero for doing this. This was awesome. He spent $40,000 in stock to get close enough to the president to ask him, are you going to make enough F-Zero? Are you going to make another F-Zero game? That's phenomenal. I love it. I absolutely love it. And hats off to him, because the answer that they gave him, I mean, it was basically, we're open to it, but and it's just crazy, man. I'm just reading it right now. They basically just told him, oh yeah, it's tough to develop new titles, and they gave him the rigmarole, but they've got to understand, there is a need for this sort of thing. I thought people who wanted a new entry in Earthbound were nuts, but this guy takes the cake. Oh my gosh, this was fantastic. Absolutely fantastic. And like I said, not new news, but me being an F-Zero fan and me not having a podcast before then, I probably should have done that the first time I heard the news, but oh my gosh, that is fantastic. That is wonderful. Brings a smile to my face, because even though he didn't really get a direct answer per se, they know this guy jumped through hoops to do it. There's a need for it. They know it. They've known it for a long time. And so now they really don't have much of an excuse not to develop a new F-Zero, but we'll see what happens in the future. So, there's not a whole lot going on in the Nintendo world to talk about. Things are pretty stagnant. We're in between releases with Splatoon 3 coming out, I think, a week from now. And then I think that's it for major first-party Nintendo releases for the year, if I'm remembering correctly, unless I'm forgetting something. Because Xenoblade Chronicles 3 launched, that was the other big one. So Splatoon 3, I think, is the last major title of the year. Oh, no. I am forgetting getting one, because I technically don't associate it with being Nintendo as much as it being its own thing. And that's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet are coming out. Because they didn't run out of colors, apparently. They haven't run out of colors to use for this franchise. And I gotta be honest, I like Pokemon. I liked Sword and Shield, despite all of the protestation and the stuff about Dexit and all of the stuff surrounding it. I think they turned out to be pretty decent games. Especially for a more open-ended Pokemon entry, it was a good first shot at that. Didn't play Legends Arceus. Unfortunately, I can't speak to it from what I've seen, it's different. I don't know whether it's good different or bad different, but I noticed it hasn't gotten much traction since its release, so I'm not really going to bother with getting it. I kind of decided against it. I wasn't completely sold on it, and nothing ever really did. Not saying it's a bad game. I don't know if it is or isn't. I just don't have the experience with it. But Scarlet and Violet look to be taking that concept, and it looks like they've been developing so many of these projects on top of each other. It's really hard to know, what influenced what and what did what. But this one is going to be a very open-ended experience. I think more so than Legends Arceus. And it is very strange. That's the best way I can put it. It's incredibly strange looking. The legendaries look strange. There's an emphasis on riding Pokemon, and they've got like motorcycle-styled wheels grafted into their body, like some sort of weird Frankenstein type deal. I don't know if I like it. I'd have to wait and see. We've got in the Bad Gamepad group, we've got some dedicated Pokemon people who I know will definitely get it. So I'll have to see what they say. I'm not going to get it on day one because I'll already have gotten Splatoon, and Pac-Man World Repack will eventually make it to my house. Funny thing about that, Pac-Man World Repack, I ordered that game, and the release date came and went, and they told me it would be in anywhere from, I believe, September 12th to the 21st. Thanks, Amazon. I don't have Amazon Prime, so that's probably on me, but either way, thanks, Amazon. Now I have to wait. Like a plebeian, I have to wait for my games. I can't just get them instantly. I want it now. I'm a lazy American. I want it now. Oh, well. But yeah, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet is probably the biggest release next to Splatoon. And then I don't remember what's after that, if anything. I don't think there's anything. I think at that point we're in the dark territory, unless they do a direct right before Christmas, which would be very strange, but not out of complete left field for Nintendo. But all I'm saying is I hope there's an F-Zero, and I hope that this guy's comment has spurred them on, if they weren't already developing something, to seriously put it on the table, because Captain Falcon deserves love too. Alright, Captain Falcon is the boss. Captain Falcon is the man. He's not just the Falcon Punch guy in Smash Brothers. He was a bounty hunter in his own universe. One of the best F-Zero racers out there. The Blue Falcon is one of the coolest looking F-Zero machines. There's a lot of cool looking F-Zero machines. It's the most iconic one for sure. I just want a new one. I want one where you can create your own machine and have like a Kingdom Hearts style gummy system to where you can actually shape it to look like what you want it to look like. And then have a screen system where you can, or a screenshot system where you can, take a whole bunch of screenshots of different things just to be able to share what it looks like on Instagram, because I always share stuff on Instagram. I'm on there all the time. At Super Koopa Gaming. Shameless plug. I'm really excited at the prospect of a new F-Zero. And I'll probably be waiting a long time, but Metroid did so well. Metroid Dread did fantastic. It's a fantastic game. I absolutely love it. Even though it fills me with the titular dread whenever you run into one of those Emmy robots. Oof. Some of those were tough. Some of those were real tough. But it was a game worthy of the Metroid 5 title, and I hope that they can find a studio that could do F-Zero justice, just like, what was it, Mercury Steam? Mercury... I'm going to look this up before I get it wrong. I have no excuse not to. It was... yes, Mercury Steam. Because they also did Metroid Samus Returns, which was the remake of Metroid 2 for the Game Boy on the 3DS, and that was also really good, even though I never finished that. I never finished Dread either, because the final bosses just kicked my butt thoroughly. But that game is proof that Nintendo can bring a franchise back from the dead. There hadn't been a mainline 2D Metroid. Well, technically, like I said, there was Samus Returns, but before that, there hadn't been one since Metroid Fusion. And it looks like they're going to continue to make more because it was a huge success, and it was just so well made. So it's in good hands. Hope the studio takes its time. Hopefully they can find a good studio to make another F-Zero because, again, there's so much to do. Despite there was an interview with Shigeru Miyamoto, I think a couple years ago now, but not too long, where he talked about not understanding why there was such a need for F-Zero, because he felt like F-Zero had done everything that they wanted to do. And it wasn't a very good explanation on his part. It felt very tone deaf because he didn't understand really that there's been such a drought and that GX is basically locked onto the GameCube. The only way to play it is through, downloading it through piracy. I mean, that's the only way I've ever played it, and Nintendo hates piracy. It hates downloading third-party things, so the only way to play it is through emulation. They won't re-release it for whatever reason. I don't know if there's rights limitations or if there's technology limitations, but the only ones we have are F-Zero and X as far as re-releases, and that's on the Nintendo Switch Online. But boy, do I really, really want a new entry in that series. And I'm not going to keep harping on about that, though I've already talked your ear off about that. Interestingly enough, on the non-Nintendo side of things, because I'll occasionally talk about that, I went on my Xbox because I'm looking forward to another game that's going to be releasing called World of Outlaws Dirt Racing. And as the name implies, it's a dirt racing game with World of Outlaws sprint car sponsorship and late model sponsorship, along with a couple of extra sub-series. Developed by Monster Games, who has done previously Tony Stewart's Sprint Car Racing, Tony Stewart's All-American Racing, and SRX the Game. The last of which, SRX the Game, I recently got because they had a free DLC for Pavement late models, and it's brilliant. I love it. I absolutely love it. I'm hooked on it. I really haven't raced in any of the other series. Seriously, I've only been on the Pavement late models. But all of that aside, they're releasing this game, and they're working with iRacing to try to get the physics correct, I guess, or something like that. And it's only going to be on console. But I looked at the price, and I was reminded that we are now in a generation where games are $10 more at new release, because it was $70, $69.99. And I died inside, because I was almost ready to pre-order the thing until I saw that. Now, I don't know if it's a case where for the Xbox One, because that's what I have, and it is going to come out on that, if it'll end up being cheaper and they'll post that price on release, or if it's just going to be flatlined $70. But if it is flatlined $70, I'm not happy. I know the $70 increase is nothing new, but I mean, I'm in between jobs right now, and money is tight as it is with inflation. And I think it's so dumb that they've increased the price, because if they're trying to say because of the increase in performance, PCs prices have been pretty standardized and in some ways cheaper with Steam and things like Steam sales. So I don't really understand the logic behind that. But I'm not happy about this $10 increase, because we're getting dangerously close to games being worth $100. And I don't feel like a lot of today's AAA games are worth $100, especially games from companies like EA and Activision Blizzard, who are so anti-consumer. But it's not fun. I like to have fun both purchasing my games and playing them. And if I don't have fun doing either, then I feel robbed. That's basically what I'm trying to say here, is I'm not saying that this World of Outlaws game is going to be bad. I think it's going to be very good, but I don't feel like it's going to be $70 good. And I'm going to try to find a way to get it on discount as much as possible. Maybe Game Pass will have some sort of deal, because I do have Game Pass. So hopefully that works out, but this $10 increase just isn't worth it, especially because this console generation to me has been so bad. Not only can you not find consoles, but the cheapest ones are the digital-only ones, and they have such limited space. Like, the Xbox Series S is basically a Game Pass box, which, again, I don't have a problem with, because I've got Game Pass. But it's also an issue of storage capacity. I'd have to get an external drive. I've got one that might work with it. I actually had one crap out on me, and I had a spare one that I was using for my father's, what's the thing that was like a tablet with a keyboard? What did they call those? They weren't laptops. They were tablet PCs. That's what I think. Was that what they were called? Tablet PCs? And the thing was, it was an Insignia Best Buy brand. It was junk. He never really used it. So, but it immediately filled up on space because the main hard drive was filled with all Windows stuff, and he didn't install a single thing on it. It's just the way the drive was so bad. There was no storage on it. You immediately needed to put external storage on it because you couldn't install anything. So that's how that worked. So I have the spare drive that we've got left over from that because I wasn't able to get stuff on it. So using that and seeing how long it lasts, going to try unplugging it. Hopefully it doesn't die. Because I think the reason the other one died was because it was constantly plugged into the Xbox. So the mechanism started to just crap out. Because it used to be very noisy, and I don't hear it, and I didn't hear any noise coming from it, so it is what it is. But yeah, that's my main gripe with the Series S, is that you need an external hard drive like that, because I think it's only 500 gigs, whereas you should have at least 1 terabyte of data for most games, and that's not counting games like Master Chief Collection, which are massive, and Hunter Call of the Wild, which is massive, including all of its DLC. I mean, games have gotten significantly bigger in both size and scope, so you definitely need more storage, and they want to sell you less and have you buy more. It's just not fun. I'm not a fan. That's why I have yet to buy an Xbox Series S. I'm certainly not going to get a PS5. I'm not a fan of PlayStation anymore. That's its own discussion for its own time. PlayStation, I'm convinced that PlayStation was at its best in the PS2 era. The PS3 had some nice PS2 re-releases, but that was about the only good thing of that generation. The only reason I turned that back on is to play old remastered PS2 collections like Ratchet and Clank HD Collection and Kingdom Hearts. So, nothing else really. Because everything else was online based, and that's all pretty much gone. So, what else do I want to talk about in this time here? We're only at 17 minutes. I want to fill a good portion of time here. I'm working on a new Let's Play. I announced it on... I almost said Twitter. I haven't been on Twitter in actual years. I announced it on Instagram, which is Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time. And that one... It is a game that I have been so back and forth with myself about wanting to Let's Play, because on the one hand, it is one of my favorite games of all time. I think it's one of the best games of all time, one of the best in the Zelda series. Not my personal top favorite in the series. That belongs to Link Between Worlds on the 3DS. That game just... The first time I played through it was just magical. I was having a hard time finding anything wrong with it. It was that much fun. I was just enjoying it crazily. It just was great. In fact, I'm due for another playthrough, actually. I should probably start a new file at some point and go through it again. But Ocarina of Time, I've played through a couple times now. And I used to not like to play through it because of the horrible, just good forsaken water temple. I mean, that... You want to talk about a place of evil in the video game. That water temple is such a bad level. And not even because it's necessarily hard, but because of the tedium and the design making it difficult to know where you are. I have to use a guide when I go through it, because otherwise I'm going to end up going in the same places over and over and over again. In fact, my plan is, I've recorded up to the water temple at this point. My plan is I'm going to do a trial run and use the built-in save state, because I'm playing it off of the Switch Online service. I'm going to use the built-in save state to go before I started into the water temple. I'm going to see how well I do playing through it. I'm going to try to play through it with a guide and try to memorize what I can, because I don't want to fail so much that it ends up just being embarrassing, because there are a couple of other major failures in the LP up to that point. I want to make sure that it's absolutely done right, so. But, man, I am excited about the prospect of getting it done. It's just going to be a long Let's Play, because of that one section with the water temple is going to take me some time. Even if I'm relatively good at it, it's going to take me some time. But it's a fantastic game. I know it's been Let's Played to death, but I'm hoping it's the first Let's Play of Ocarina of Time on Rumble, because there's not a lot of Let's Plays on Rumble, because it's a new platform, and I really like Rumble. I've been uploading my stuff to both YouTube and Rumble simultaneously, just to kind of spread things out. And I'm hoping that this ends up being one of the first major Let's Plays of an older Nintendo game on Rumble. And I hope I can be entertaining enough for people to want to keep watching. Same with this podcast show thing. But, yeah, I'm really excited about that. That'll be coming out. Not even going to give a date because I've estimated at the rate I'm going, I might not be done till late November. Or at best sometime in October if I'm lucky. But it all depends on other life circumstances that are going on and things that are surrounding. So, I don't know when it's going to come out, but it will come out, and I am working on it rigorously, but I'm going to change up how I'm doing it, because what I've been doing is recording a whole bunch of parts at once and then editing them back to back into a file of fully completed edited parts. But what I'm going to do going forward is I'm going to do maybe 2 or 3 parts per recording session, and then edit those parts and then just not do anything else for the rest of the day in regards to it. I think that'll be a lot easier workload than everything that I've been doing up to this point of just getting as much recorded as possible and then letting it stack up and then editing it all at once. Because I did that today, and I'm tired. I'm very tired because it's not even that it's hard work, it's just a lot of waiting because I'm using Movie Maker. I don't have many other options. I'm using an old, outdated Movie Maker. That's how I'll probably be editing this. And it's going to take time because it has to load, has to render, and I have to make very minimal edits, thankfully. But it's going to take some time. So, it is what it is. There's not a whole lot that I can really do about that, but life goes on. Indeed it does. But yeah, very much looking forward to that LP, and I will try to get it done with some expediency so that way it's out. And I'm not going to start uploading until the entire completed file of all the finished parts are ready. However many it's going to be. I have no idea how many it's going to be. It's looking like it might be over 50, to be honest. It's not going to be 100% Let's Play of Link to the Past either. That's something I wanted to clear up, is that it's not going to be 100%, not going to get everything. I'm going to reiterate this multiple times in the video, just that way so people in the comments are like, why didn't you get that gold Skulltula or that heart piece or that bottle? It's like, I'm not going for that. I'm going for as clean start to finish as I can. I don't feel like it really affects the story if you get these extra things or do these extra side quests. Those are things that could be left for a bonus video, potentially. But I just want to do a basic start to finish story. So, because and I know that's a popular game to speed run and to mod and do all these other things too, but I like playing a game like that, classic as it is. I like just leaving it alone. I like sharing that experience with people, because there are still people who haven't played it, people who maybe haven't watched Let's Plays of it, and I'm hoping that mine is one that they might choose to be entertained by, even though I'm not confident they will be, but that's neither here nor there. So, you can look forward to, or maybe look forward to that. Just depends on what you like, I guess. But I'll be sharing it around quite a bit once it's ready. And I already put up the preview on Instagram saying that it'll be done when it's done. And the preview for this episode. And that this episode will be uploading soon. So, very excited about this podcast show thing. I'm going to have more people on, hopefully. Going to have more varied discussions, so it won't be having to listen to my boring voice the whole time. That sort of thing. And I'm sure you're wondering about the name Bad Gamepad. Why isn't it called the Super Koopa Podcast? Well, Bad Gamepad is, and I'm already blanking on whether or not I mentioned that in the beginning, but it is the name of my Discord server and friend group. And I'm hoping to make it into an overarching media thing to where I can get an outro at the end of my videos. And just have us be interconnected, those of us who are making videos, and that way people can know kind of what we're up to. Maybe make a couple of extra pages down the road. Who knows? I don't know how this thing will grow. But the name comes from, if you look at the picture that I made, basically, when you have a broken controller or bad controller, this actually has to do with this recent Let's Play. I've been playing with the Retrobit Tribute 64, which is basically a wireless N64 HoriPad styled controller. Installed. What the heck was that? Basically a HoriPad wireless styled N64 controller that works with Switch N64 games. When it works, it's fantastic. When it doesn't work, it's infuriating. And that got me to thinking, maybe I can name this group that we have based on the experiences with a bad controller. or gamepad as it's often referred to. So there's the name, Bad Gamepad, and you have a cracked dual analog controller. So awesome. I think it turned out pretty good anyway. I like it. I've had to change the font several times and the controller design, but I've settled on this one, and I really like it. The more I look at it, the more I like it, honestly. But that's the story behind that. What else can we talk about here? So, sort of an aside note, I was listening to some music on my phone, and the app I listen to on my phone, sometimes, because it's a free music app, because Google had an app and eventually it disappeared, this app has ads to support it, and sometimes it'll interrupt with a video ad, but it'll be muted because it's a music app, so it knows, thankfully, not to, interrupt the song. But it'll interrupt your menu navigation. And I got two ads for some local law associates around here, some local lawyers. I think work injury prevention and accident lawyers. And or work injury compensation, however that works. I'm not an expert on how those things are titled. Anyways, these two law practices, or these two or this same law practice, I'm still not sure if it's two separate or if it's just one in the same area. The first ad that they had was animated. It was a family, kids on their smartphones, things like that, I believe, in what I could only describe was a 1979, 1980s style wood-paneled station wagon, like a woody station wagon. And they pulled up to an intersection. This was CG animated, so this wasn't real people. And as they're sat there all happy and nice, they cut away to what must have been a guy in a Kenworth, heavy loaded with logs, doing what looked to be 80, 90 miles an hour down these back roads. And then it ends at the end with this truck careening towards the car. They don't show anything. And as brief as the ad was, because it was only a couple seconds, all I could think to myself was, number one, clearly this was budget constraint because the animation was just very bare bones. But number two, are these lawyers convinced that truckers are just some sort of force of evil that are just blatantly breaking road rules in order to cause chaos and destroy lives of families? Like, the situation seemed very blatantly evil. And I know that's, you can get into discussion about, lawyers being ambulance chasers and all that, but this came across as really just kind of like, this makes truckers look bad. This really makes truckers look bad. It makes them look like scumbags because they're just blatantly disregarding safety rules. Never mind the fact that he's doing a speed that is not at all reasonable, safe for a load that big. Like, that truck should be in a ditch rolled over at those speeds. It shouldn't be careening down the road at a station wagon, a wooded station wagon in 2022 somehow. That's not an antique, but just a family driver. Like, who made it? It was just one of those, it was the weirdest ad. I was just like, it's so out of place and just weird. I don't understand really what the goal is, was with it, because that's a word. Oh man. All right, what are we at? 28 minutes. See, I got to fill all this airtime because I don't have anybody else to talk to, so I got to come up with things. I want this to be at least 30, 35 minutes. I'm trying to think what else. Well, my Switch, in the process of trying to record this Let's Play, whenever I try to record anything more intensive, the cooling fan is completely broken. And I think the thermal paste is also bad because it overheats like nobody's business. If I go to try to record Splatoon and I play for too long, it'll tell me it needs to shut down. You could feel all the heat pouring from it. So I'm trying to figure out the best solution because you can get a cooling fan and replace it yourself. Or you can spend $95, mail it into Nintendo, and hope that they fix it. And I'm thinking the $32 or $40 fan solution is a little bit better. But it also should come with special screwdrivers because there are some special shaped screws. And I'm kind of nervous to do that myself. But that's made recording videos very difficult because the only other Switch I have is the Switch Lite. And if you know anything about the Switch Lite, it doesn't dock with docks because it's just made to be an all-portable Switch, sort of a cheaper alternative. I got it just basically to hold me over in case this thing blows up in my hands and I have to go to the emergency room. Hopefully not. But I mean, I ran into this when I was recording some Splatoon 2. I was doing a series for the final days of Splatoon 2 leading up to 3, and it shut down on me mid-recording, so I had to scrap the whole recording. And I was midway into... I was almost starting a turf war. Thankfully, I don't think I had started, or I just finished one or the other. So, now I know I can only record it in spurts until I can actually get that fan replaced and the heatsink replaced. Hopefully, things will turn out a little bit better in that regard. But, yeah, I'm really excited about the future of this. I think this thing is going to be great. And I hope you guys will stick around for the ride. This has been episode 0 of the Bad Gamepad Podcast show thingamajig. And I will see you guys all next time.